So the McCain camp is playing the association game for all it is worth, whatever it's worth. But inspecting the other guy's pals is a double-edged moose hunting sword. If your vice presidential nominee has spent years palling around with fringe Alaskans who are pushing to secede from the United States. According to a brand new story on Salon.com, Sarah Palin's ties to the fringe Alaska Independence Party are deeper than previously reported. Want to know what the party's founder, Joe Vogler, was all about? Try these quotes. Quote, "I'm an Alaskan, not an American. I've got no use for America or her damned institutions." That's one from the party's website. From a 1991 interview, quote, "The fires of hell are frozen glaciers compared to my hatred for the American government. Wow. And I won't be buried under their damn flag." Now, in the same way Barack Obama was not a member of the Weather Underground, Sarah Palin was never a member of the Alaska Independence Party. However, non-member Palin has attended party conventions, has addressed the convention as recently as this year in 2008, saying, quote, "Keep up the good work." Does that constitute palling around? Is there more to this story? Joining us now is Max Blumenthal, a fellow at the Nation Institute. He has just reported and written a brand new story about Palin's connections to the Alaska Independence Party for Salon.com. Max, thanks for joining us.
Yeah, great to be here.
For people unfamiliar with Alaska politics, what's the Alaska Independence Party all about? Is there anything in the politics of the lower 48 to compare them to?
There is. In the lower 48, there's a neo-Confederate secessionist movement that reveres the Confederacy, the lost cause, and they are intimately linked with the Alaskan Independence Party. So is the Constitution Party, a theocratic party that wants to put the United States under the control of biblical law. The Alaskan Independence Party, since it was founded by Joe Vogler, has been a haven for anti-government extremists, anti-government militia members, and conspiratorial figures who believe that the United States government plans to implement a new world order. And when my co-author, the co-author of this article, David Nywert, an investigative journalist who's been covering the anti-government militia movement since the 90s, when we took our separate trips to Alaska, when we interviewed the former head of the Alaskan Independence Party, Mark Kreisen, when we talked to the people who served on the city council with Sarah Palin, and talked to different people around the city of Wasilla, what we found is that Sarah Palin is far more intimately associated with the extreme right-wing fringe of Alaska than the media has acknowledged or than she is willing to acknowledge.
Well, how strong are those connections, and how are they made manifest? I mean, I know that she was close with that former chair of the party who you interviewed when she first got into politics, but what are the exact connections between her and this group?
Well, she used the former head of the Alaskan Independence Party, Mark Kreisen, and his friend, a John Birch Society activist named Stephen Stoll, to advance her political career. And then once she was elected mayor and then governor, she used her position to advance their agenda on a local and state level, and she sought to reward them with plum political appointments. For example, the guy I just mentioned, Stephen Stoll, he's known around Wasilla as Black Helicopter Steve. That's because there's a rumor that he had taken several high-powered automatic weapons and wrapped them in plastic and buried them in his front yard in expectation of the federal government bringing on the New World Order. He wanted to be ready. These characters used to hold regular protests outside the office of Sarah Palin's predecessor, John Stein, and when she declared her campaign against him, at their urging, they demanded that he produce a marriage certificate proving that he was legally married to his wife. So they were creating the negative backscatter in Sarah Palin's mayoral campaign. Steve Stoll donated $1,000 to Sarah Palin's mayoral campaign, and as soon as she became mayor, she sought to appoint Steve Stoll to the city council seat that she had just vacated. This appointment was blocked by a city council member me and David Nywert interviewed named Nick Carney because he considered Steve Stoll a, quote, violent influence. John Stein, the former mayor, said, and I'm paraphrasing here, that Steve Stoll is the kind of guy who, if he disagreed with you, would take you out in the parking lot and beat you up. People around Wasilla consider this character a menacing and extreme figure, but Sarah Palin sought to appoint him to city council.
Max Blumenthal, fellow at the Nation Institute, contributor to Salon.com. We'd advise our listeners or our viewers who are interested in checking out more about this to check out Max's very detailed article at Salon.com about these associations today. Thanks, Max. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having me.